Hello and welcome to the special episode of the interview program. We have a privilege of hosting the remarkable individual who has been playing a crucial role in the development of Uzbekistan. And this is a bittersweet moment as we bid a farewell to Matilda Dimovska, the UNDP resident representative to Uzbekistan. Hello Matilda, and thank you so much for your time.
Assalamu alaikum, and many thanks to you for such a great introduction.
You look great today, not wearing ikat, but still you have national accessories.
Well, we have to have it.
Why have to?
Because it brings the beauty, because it brings many things about Uzbekistan and about me.
Starting the interview, I was wondering, what is the most rewarding part of your work in Uzbekistan, in your opinion?
You know, I find myself very lucky. First, because I work for UNDP, organization that has such a potential for transformative impact with the work that we do. And second, that I was given the privilege to do it in Uzbekistan. So lucky me, because in Uzbekistan one can see how the work can flourish. And while we do many things, and I do many things in office, in meetings, etc. When one sees the tangible impact, in fact, the real difference for people's lives, that is becoming true, that's the most rewarding. And I have seen many of that, luckily, in Uzbekistan. But one that I many times mention is the celebration, public celebration in Mahalas, once Mahala won the open budget. It's like a Uzbek wedding, I was told. So they are so happy about being able, given the chance, and then winning the competition there, and that their lives ultimately will be slightly better in the future. So I hope much more of that we can see in Uzbekistan in the future.
I'll tell you the truth. When I came to Uzbekistan, so after my bachelor's degree abroad, I started my career here exactly the same time you started it here.
Oh.
So when you became the UNDP representative, I was like, Matilda Dimovska. And why I said remarkable individual, because you've done a lot, and UNDP done a lot to this country. When I hear Matilda Dimovska, I can see two different people. First, work. Great manager, very responsible, strict. And another one with a journalist. All the time we had interviews for the TV stories, etc. Nice person, friend to journalists. Is there a third Matilda?
I guess in all of us there are many versions of us, but the issue is the combination of it probably. And thank you for mentioning it. Indeed, I enjoyed a lot. You, the journalists, were very kind with me. Always looking for some points, but also contributing to my points. You know, I had also a practice of meeting some selected group of topic-based journalists, for example, on the environment, and you were informing me. The version that, to come back to your question, the version that probably is extremely important in me was the one where I would use my little spare time and try to understand much better and the country, so that I can do my job properly, but also that I enjoy it a lot, because I love many things that this Uzbekistan has. My parents raised me with a lot of love for art. History is so important for everyone, and the natural beauty. So I was trying to find times, ways of exploring it. I was hiking. At times of COVID, I was hiking even. I visited all 12 regions of Uzbekistan. I went to Muynak many times. And I have been reading a lot around the history. So I devoted, I created this type of devotion or belonging even to many of these aspects of Uzbekistan. And there is one particular passion I developed which is about the ikat. And the fashion of Uzbekistan, the uniqueness of it is just great.
I see. Any event which you participate, you have this ikat, like all the time different ones, and now you have those accessories. And I see your passion to art, like from the art masterpieces we have in here. Talking about your personal experience in Uzbekistan, has your experience shifted your personal or cultural values in any way?
Of course, you know, I was saying I was privileged to be posted to live 4.5 years in Uzbekistan, the cradle of culture and religion, the center of magic East. A country where the spirit of Ulugh Bek, spirit of Al-Bukhari are there. So of course that I could, my understanding shifted. And it shifted also with how the things, the developments were evolving in the country. But what was very impressive, and still it is the unique warmness and openness of the Uzbek people. That was very, very important for me. And the readiness, the eagerness to open and to do good. That type of kindness you don't see many many frequent. At the times of COVID, for example, I always say army of volunteers was there, regardless of the fact that it was dangerous. And they were there to do good thing. For the elderly people, for those that did not have who to provide for them, etc. I remember young people still with the packages moving from one to another side. So that type of compassion and the level and the depth is something that that I take with me, and is a completely different. You don't find that very frequent.
UNDP has a lot of activities here. I see many things going on, events, training, capacity building events, and all the experiences, memories, which you have after this. Talking about memories, is there any memory that makes you laugh?
Makes me laugh?
Yeah.
Well, makes me smile for sure. Many memories makes
Can you
me
share
smile.
it with us?
And I'm sure that makes me laugh. I will think of it. There are so many memories. Of course, I lived every day brings something new and a richness of different kinds. But what as I was saying, I work mainly in office. I go to meetings and then I push papers from here and there. But then when you see that really the things that we think that are not important, that make influence and can change people's lives, that's extremely important. And I give you the recent example that I had in last month. I was traveling to Fergana, so we were meeting women entrepreneurs there. So there was this lady, Oidina, from Namangan, who stood up, and then she started talking, raising my name, pointing to myself, and I was, until the translation came, I was, oops, what is happening? And then she said that we have helped her change her life and change the way how she was looking into herself. So apparently a few years ago there was some event in which she was present, UNDP was there, and I said something that encouraged her to change the way how she's perceiving her. At the time she was in the iron book, and she was having a trouble with her life and earning. So the way, something that triggered her to see herself differently, to bring more confidence into herself, and then to benefit from some of the work that UNDP was doing, made her grow. So now she is the owner of a business, and she's providing for her family as well. So it's a great story. But then it was striking, you know, that things that we believe are not so important and not so usual really can make a difference for some people. So that makes me smile. I am still thinking on the laughing.
How does it feel to be the life changer? Just one word which can change somebody's life.
Well, I don't find myself as a life changer, but the work of the organization that we are doing, the mission. And I think it's not for an organization, it's not for an individual. It's about embracing the values, embracing the standards, living with those. When we talk about green, for example, green development, it's not about someone, it's about us as individuals, also in addition to the states, the institutions that shall make a lot of work on that. It's also about us accepting the values in our daily behavior. So it's not an individual, but I think as a set of the values that we are promoting and how we are promoting.
Getting back to the topic of culture. So is there any piece of culture that you will continue to keep when you leave the country?
There are many. Definitely, I became a self-nominated ambassador of Uzbekikat and others. So you see, I think that I will keep carrying it. My home will not be the same. In the future, it will be full of colorful, beautiful Uzbek cultures. Souvenirs, but not only the art, in fact. And then one thing that is very dear to me is the sori. You know, I love this thing, the sori, where the men sit and they have their talk, because this is a meeting room, right? So I thought I loved it.
Meetings in the past.
Yeah. But then I was looking into it and I found something problematic there, that there are no women sitting there. So I was doing a lot of search until I found a new version of that souvenir that has a woman into it. So this story I will take with me for sure, because it represents the gender equality in Uzbekistan.
But which ones do you prefer more? These types of meetings or Zoom meetings online, which you are all in now?
I think both are becoming part of the reality. Both are because, and there are versions of stories, I think, with how we say, iPads as well, with the mobile phone. So that, probably that will become the
future.
Reality, yes.
How do you think this chapter, working in Uzbekistan, is going to impact the future career? When you start your new position, what is going to be the impact?
Well, it has been quite a journey. I have to say it's a very rewarding journey for me. It has been working in Uzbekistan with many lessons, many experiences, summaries, which I'm still working on. But probably, you know, and many of that will influence my work in the future. But the few points, I think this proactive determination of Uzbek people and Uzbek government, readiness to do and eagerness to do it fast is extremely important. That proactive approach, results-oriented approach will be important for me in the future. The other is the uniqueness of the partnership that we have established with the different layers of the government and the society. So that is extremely important. And the third and probably the most important is that actually the key attitude, the key approach works. The approach of trying to contribute to the betterment of the lives. And for that, you need to, the key is to understand, to talk to sense, to make best feeling of the situation in the country and in the people, so that we do a good job. So I think these are the key principles that probably will influence my work in the future. And of course, Uzbekistan is extremely important also geopolitically country, and many things and partnerships that I have established here will influence me in the future.
I'm done with the main set of questions, and if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about gender equality?
Yes.
I saw many interviews of yours, and recently you've given to Uz Report TV. I saw like the separate TV program with your interview. How does it feel, and how do you find it being female manager in Uzbekistan?
Well, that's a good question, by the way. It's an important question. You know, everything goes with the ups and downsides. And I think both I have witnessed. I have received only warm welcome and openness for cooperation from the partners, from the government side. So I think that goes without saying. I want to stress. I think that I have seen it worked for my benefit that I'm women, so that I can easily relate to many of the women activists and better understand and articulate what they want to say, what they feel is the most important. I'm just coming from that type of a meeting. And that was important for many, for some, let's say, movements, developments on the gender equality, like the recently adopted law that criminalized the gender-based violence. So that was really important. Now, it is also important to be aware of the gender disparity. As a manager in my office, I was very much aware, had to be aware of that, so that we not only establish a gender balance in my office, but that we go beyond the numbers, because that's what matters the most. Because we are at the moment in my office 50-50. But when we dig deeper, it's a bit of a unpleasant, not equal balance, you know. So to make sure that we give equal chances to women to managerial position is equally important. And I have been working on that in my office. I see that in government there is increasing understanding on that, but there is much more to be done, including in my office.
Recently, UN published that it will take for the world 300 years to establish gender equality. Do you agree with that?
Not about agreeing, it's about the way how we react on that. Because this is a well-documented research that has been done, as well as the recently released UNDP study about the gender-biased norms that said that was the negative norms against women are really striking, prevailing. It's shocking to see that that is happening in the current world. We did that for Uzbekistan as well. So the question is how we act on that. And that is not an easy job. It is to go beyond saying it's a comprehensive. One really needs to look what defines a person, when that is happening. Is it education system? It is within the family. It is the model of the mother, but also of the father, of the brother, or those that we work in our offices. So it's how much we are educated as a women. It's a really very, very important part that requires a lot of work everywhere in the world, and particularly in countries where the things still have to be improved a lot.
I know it might seem weird of male talking about gender equality, but I can tell that I support gender equality, definitely, and I'm not ashamed of this, and I'm not embarrassed to tell this, but having a look at the policies at international organizations, like, for example, 30% female employees and 70 male, or 50-50. Imagine there is a position, let's say communications or any position, and so male candidate, female candidate. Now you already have like more male than female, and according to the policy you have to have like 30% of female employees. Would they go for female even if the male is more suitable to this job because of just policy?
Well, first we need more males to ask these questions and to stand for that, for gender equality. So thank you for being one of them, and I hope many more will join. But on your question, it's not a technical question, but the response may be rather not technical. I don't want to, and I don't know the exact human resources language because it's very specific language. But it essence means that women would have a preferences in case to be selected in case when their competencies are the same as the male. So at the end, the merit goes to the competence, to ability to deliver the job. That's the most important. And then if the two candidates, male and female, have the same level of competence, then in that case the preference is given to a woman. Now the question is how then you reach the 30% or whatever percent one would have. And I think I have had that question at the beginning when I arrived in this office. I was told, sorry, but there are not enough good female candidates for this type of a position. For a more senior level positions, not sufficient number of interested and competent female candidates. And that's difficult to accept because that can change with the education, with providing opportunity for women, preferential, potentially opportunity to study IT instead of caregiving or suing, something of that kind. So this is a policy, matter of policy.
And female education, that's what the government is looking for, like providing, for example, you can study masters and the government is going to cover the expenses, etc. So the reason why I asked this question, because like a couple of days ago I was sitting with my friends and they mentioned about this policy and like, is it a threat to male? I'm like, I don't know, let me check, let me ask. Now I got the answer.
No, for sure.
And I don't know how relevant it is. While my studies, it was the management class, and my professor once said, there is no better manager, if you're the owner, let's say, of the company, there is no better manager than the female manager. But once you lose your trust or try to stop her, you will not get the worst enemy.
Yeah, these type of statements are interesting. I would add, I would say it's, we cannot, of course, generalize. I cannot generalize women are like this or that. We talk about a professional environment. And competencies, performances, in Uzbekistan, as we say, KPIs better, right? So I think as long as we keep it professional and to the agreed, that's the most important to the standard. So I will not be able to say there are this style is more for female or male professionals. But there are studies that indicate that under women's leadership of the countries, for example, there is less corruption, there is less association to human rights abuse, wars, that for sure there are that studies that.
What do you mean with less corruption with female managers or employees? Could you please elaborate?
Well, I think there is a study that indicates that when a woman is leading an organization or a country, a bit of more of the resources are oriented to social issues, health, for example, education, and that is being done in a way that is not so much prone to corruption. Again, we cannot generalize these issues. I'm just pointing to studies that indicate that women are less, when they manage, then the organization or the country is less associated with that. And we have living examples of that.
Matilda, thank you so much for your time. It was a privilege, it was such an honor to work with you, and hope to see you again in Uzbekistan.
Many thanks to you. I will be surely coming. It has been an honor and privilege to be in Uzbekistan. Katar Ahmad, Uzbekistan.